privileged. We have a good school, a roof, but not everyone has that. So let's be the one to give back to the community. I would like to end off with a quote. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, become more, then you are a leader. So let's be leaders together. Thank you.
Wow, such an inspiring speech. Thank you, Alika. And now please welcome the candidate 3, Ida Ayu Kalisa Putri Kennington.
Everything is bound to come to an end. This academic year, it's almost ending. But ladies and gentlemen, every end marks a new beginning. Now let me ask you this. Wouldn't you like a taste of a new beginning with limitless possibilities? Good morning, honorable panelists, my lovely audience, and my fellow candidates. My name is Callista, and I stand here to run as the microphone that will amplify your voice. I stand here to run as the bridge to turn your visions for the school, such as Regents Cup, into reality. I stand here to run as the leader who will lead the next academic year's experience to victory. I stand here as your third presidential candidate. But ladies and gentlemen, I am not running as your president to work above you. I am running for this position to be able to work with you, whether you are an SLT or not, because I know that I don't have the answers to everything. I want to work with you because I care about your voice, and I'll prove it to you by having polls so that we can have open discussions before making decisions for events. I want to work with you because I believe in the ambitions and dreams of all of you Regents leaders. And I will create an environment with opportunities to help them all flourish, no matter what your passions are, be it sports, be it art, be it music. I will create an environment for you where you can stand out. An environment where everyone feels comfortable and safe in. A community that continues to learn, develop, and grow. A school that can provide the seed within you, the nutrients it needs so that you can grow into a resilient tree that can survive in the outside world. I want to build a community that can remind you that you are much more than just a student here. With my dedication, hard work, and resilience as your president, I plan on achieving all of these. With your trust in me, we can work together to achieve something much greater. This is candidate number 3. Thank you.
Thank you for all the candidates for sharing your vision today. So everyone, now let's dive into our first interactive segment, rebuttals. Each candidate will have the chance to challenge another candidate's speech and respond in return. Are you guys ready? Okay, I will start first from candidate 1. We'll rebut candidate 2. And after that, candidate 2 will do in counter rebuttal. And then the cycles will do the same things. Is that clear? So whenever you speak, I ask you to stand up and then say and speak your rebuttals. It's about your speech, about your vision. Okay? Is that clear? Candidate 1, I'll give to Bell to rebut candidates 2. Time is yours.
So you have mentioned about the Regents Cup and having more other than just sports, we can have like debates. How would that really differ from our fun days that we already have? Because that is already what is occurring right now. That is what we have right now with different sports, different topics. Last year we had the debate, if I'm not wrong. So how would that really differ from our fun days? Thank you.
Okay. Now, candidate 2, please counter rebuttal.
So I am aware that our current funding system also has debates and other programs, but the thing is that fundraise only happens within community of our school, and Regents Cup is going to be inviting other schools. So if we can have both, then why not? Why can't we have an event that also focuses on our school and an event that also invites other schools? Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Just to remind you that whenever do the rebuttals, they only have 1 minute. Okay, now let's continue. Candidates 2 rebutes candidates 3.
Candidate 3, you talked about how you'll create a community for everyone, whatever their passion is. And how will you ensure this? You went on and on about how you're going to create a community, but you haven't explained how. So I would like to see that in your rebuttal. Thank you.
Now, candidate 3, it's time for you to counter rebuttal.
I plan on having a community that can provide opportunities just outside of school clubs and electives too. So I want to give opportunities for like online volunteers or offline volunteers that is outside the school. For example, those who are passionate about literature can join a literary magazine staff. Those who are passionate about science can join YouthInSTEM.id, which is a youth-run organization. And I'll aim to promote more programs like these so that you guys can also have experience outside of just school to reach for your dreams and pursue them. Thank you.
Thank you. Just right in time. Now, candidate 3, please now do the rebutes candidates 1.
So for candidate 1, you mentioned how you wanted to highlight facility concerns, but I understand that facilities, they require a lot of money, right? So how will you manage the budgeting so that you can have a balance between budgeting for events and also budgeting for the facilities for the new teams? That's it. Thank you.
Okay, candidate 1.
Yes, I agree. It costs a lot of money. That's why I would like to prioritize the most concerns. So we can maybe make a suggestion box where people could fill in the suggestions which one they would prioritize more. Maybe right now they would prioritize on renovating the football field, or maybe creating some events could be held later. Or since now the MPH has already made a stage, we don't need to rent the ICC or anything else. We already have our stage on our own, and that would already save us a lot of money. Thank you.
Okay. That's the end of our sessions 1 rebuttals, and I hope that all the audience here in the chill out, also live from the Zoom, you can consider all the answers from all the candidates. Now let's move on to the session 2. This is panelist questions. So this round, each panelist will ask a questions based on a topic drawn randomly, and candidates will respond in sequence. So let's begin. I start from the candidate 1. Each of you have 1 minute to answer. Candidate 1, I have 6 topics. Please help me to choose number 1 until number 6. Which number you're going to choose?
1.
Number 1. All right, question number 1. These questions actually come from Miss Nana. Unfortunately, she cannot come here, but here's the questions. Please, Bell, answer this question, and after that, candidate 1 and candidate 2 and 3 will respond. We have tried to prevent bullying for many years, but we still see or hear it happening. Why do you think students do it? And what is your plan to prevent it? 1 minute, start from now.
So yes, bullying still occurs in our school a lot, no matter how much times we bring it up. And I think this happens because of diversity. And of course, we always have diversity, and there's no way to prevent it. With more cultural events, such as mentioned, we can highlight different diversity from different worlds, from different races, from our differences, and we can celebrate it instead of doing some bullying to it. Thank you.
Okay? I give chance to candidate two to respond. Candidate one's answer concerning the first question.
So, candidate number one, I understand that you think diversity is the main reason for bullying. However, I disagree. There are many factors to bullying, and diversity is only one of the many reasons. So, how will you ensure that every single reason can be taken care of?
Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for candidate three to respond to the answer of candidate one.
I agree with candidate number two that bullying occurs for many different factors. Diversity, their own reasons. Maybe they hold a grudge against another person and they decided to let it out through bullying. But I wanted to ask you, how are you going to utilize your SLT team? How are you going to engage discussions with them so that you can together with your team help at least mitigate this issue, because it's really pressing and I believe that it should not just be ignored. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, candidate one, you have 2 minutes to respond to both questions.
So for the candidate two, you have mentioned there are different causes of bullying, and yes, I agree. It is not just about diversity. Maybe it can be, as you mentioned, holding a grudge against someone, and that is something we cannot change. But we can encourage this bullying to stop. I know we have tried many times with presentations or during the flag ceremony, but maybe we can also encourage it during Genius Hour or more presentations. But right now, bullying is prevented just because of the punishment. Some people are also unaware of what the punishment can be because of bullying, what they can get, the red notes and everything else. So I think we can highlight the punishments, but also put some rewards to it. If they don't do things, then we can reward some points, and such as the Aselius points. And for discussing with our SLT team, we can have more regular meetings. And I know it is hard for us to have some regular meetings because we have different schedules, different timings. We have after school activities, but we can always encourage a time for some people to join, some people to not, or maybe make a suggestion box in the group, such as forms or um, in the Student Lighthouse Instagram can be used. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Belle. Hopefully they can answer the questions. Now let's move on to candidate two. Please choose the number or pick the number. 2 until 6.
5.
Number 5. These questions come from Mr. Chris as coordinator, culture coordinator.
Okay. In the past years, there are so many cases of vandalism and lost items, which we believe it relates to students' responsibility and ownership. What can you do as president to motivate and raise the habit of responsibility and ownership, especially to public property? Thank you.
Okay, Alika, 1 minute to respond to the questions.
So, like I said, our students are very privileged, and a lot of them think, "Oh, it's just a water bottle. I can buy a new one anyways." Well, I think that it will be useful if we remind them that not everyone is able to just easily buy a water bottle if they lose one like that. We could have programs that remind students of what others go through, and if for example it's so easy for them to just buy another water bottle, then we could also have programs that encourage them to also donate to those who are unprivileged, um because not everyone is able to buy it so easily like that. Also, I think we could also have some sort of program where we need to remind students why it's important to take ownership and take care of what you have, because responsibility is something that every leader must have. Thank you.
Thank you, Alika, for trying your best. Now, please respond to the answer, candidate 3. 1 minute.
So, candidate two, you mentioned how you want to have programs that remind students that not everybody can afford these things, which I think is an excellent idea. However, how are you going to ensure that these students will listen to the reminders? Because as we all know, we already encourage people not to bully, but still it's happening. So how can we encourage them to be more responsible with these reminders? Thank you.
Okay, please, candidate 1, respond to the answer of candidate 2.
I agree with candidates three questions. So I would also like to ask about your programs that you try to remind them that not a lot of people can afford that. Can you elaborate on that program and how it would work and how would the students be engaged in it? Thank you.
All right, candidate 2, you have 2 minutes to respond to both questions.
Thank you to candidate 1, candidate 3 for your questions. I would now like to answer them. So first of all, regarding my programs, I was thinking that we could have people who grew up sort of less privileged to come and give talks to our school to inspire others on how to remind others also about how privileged they are. And also, I know that reminders I can't expect every single person to follow them, but what I can do is reinforce them even more so that I hope that others can be inspired and choose to follow it themselves, not because they're forced. Next, regarding my programs, I think that during times like Genius Hour, we could also have some inspirational videos play about poverty and sort of just educate our students even more on how to be more grateful for the things that you have. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, candidate 2, for trying your best, to answer. Now let's come with candidate 3. Please pick up the number. Number?
2.
Number 2. Number 2 come from our HOD, Miss Cherry.
Okay, so one of the habits that we have is habit 8. What is habit 8?
Find your voice.
Okay, so how will you ensure that all students' voices are heard and represented, especially those who often feel left out or unheard, without simply relying on surveys or suggestion boxes?
Okay. Kalista, 1 minute is yours.
Now, I understand the feeling of being shy and scared to share your ideas, which is why I want to try and reach out more to people like directly. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So that I can also get their opinions directly from them, and maybe they feel more comfortable if it's only one-on-one instead of one and one whole group. And so I want to try to do more of that during the academic year next year, so that they can also be involved in the decision making with the school too. Thank you.
Okay. Candidate 1, please respond to candidate 3 answers.
Well, yes, candidate three, I agree with your answer that a lot of people are more shy to speak up, and going to them directly would also really help to get more feedback. But I think that's kind of dodging the question, as Ms. Cherry has mentioned. It is other than just having surveys or suggestion box. So how else would you implement this? Thank you.
All right. Next. Candidate 2.
I agree with candidate 1 and what she said on how it works. So, since you mentioned that you will go up to the person who are shy, how will you know which person is shy and which person would rather to do the questionnaire or survey? Will you go up to every single person and ask them these questions yourself, or will you send out teams? Thank you.
All right. 2 minutes for candidate 3 to respond both question and response.
I don't necessarily agree that I dodged the question because I feel like questionnaires and surveys, in my definition, it's through Google Forms or suggestion boxes that are already pasted outside the school. And I think talking to them one-on-one is definitely like, it will get a more honest answer from them since it's only between the two of us. And regarding candidate two's question on how I will do this, because yes, it is going to be quite difficult to find um, people who are shy and etc. throughout the different grades. But that's why I want to involve the action team too. So the action team, they're the representative of their grades, so they know that, for example, maybe their friends, they know that they're shy. So I want to encourage them to reach out to them, ask them, what do they want to see? Help them find their voice, because sometimes all somebody needs is just a little push. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kalista, Candidate 3. Thank you for answering. Now let's continue. We still have another questions to be answered. Now let's continue again. Let's start again from candidate 1. Please pick up the numbers.
Is 3 still an option? Is 3 still an option?
Still option.
Okay.
Okay, question number 3. So question number 3 comes from academic coordinator Miss Gramita. This is the questions. How will you make sure all students feel comfortable asking for help when they are struggling with their academics? You ready? 1 minute. Start from now.
I agree. Not a lot of us are brave enough to speak up to someone. Not a lot of us are brave enough to speak up to our teacher. So what I like, one of my teachers are doing this right now. So every end of a topic, they would have this anonymous questions that you can write down, and at the end, they would have to read it and answer the questions. And the question doesn't necessarily need to be, something that is academic, but it can be any question related to that needed to be answered, that a question that you're just wondering. So I think this could really help for some people to not be shy. Some example are like they would ask about how to do this in math, how to do algebra, and some other questions could be unrelated to the subject too, but it would really help. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Belle, from candidate 1. Now candidate 2, please respond to the answer.
So, candidate 1, I agree that that is a really good system. However, how will you ensure that all teachers follow this? Will you make it mandatory for them to follow, or will you paste it around the school? How will you make sure that this is implemented school-wide and not in just your grade? Thank you.
All right. Candidate 3, 1 minute.
I agree with candidate two's answer and question. How will you ensure that all teachers implement this? But I also wanted to ask, the school has an Excel club, right? And as the academics team, we are also in charge of recruiting students to join this club and ask for help from our seniors. How are you gonna help promote that? Because the Excel club, their goal is to help students, and I feel like if we encourage students to help students, it can also build a stronger community. So how are you gonna do that? Thank you.
Right. Candidate 1. You ready? Please respond to both questions and respond. 2 minutes is yours.
Thank you for the questions. For candidate two, as you said, I think it is best if we make it mandatory, or maybe it could be used in a different style, because I know that every teacher have a different teaching style that they use. But I think it is best if we have a teacher briefing, or maybe it's mandatory, but you can use it in your own way, because they know their students best with their own grade, because and they might be representative for their grade. And for the candidate three question regarding the SL club, some of the concerns I've heard from my friends is they are too shy to speak up to the seniors that are teaching them. And some of them being that it will be awkward if you see your senior walking around school, seeing them and knowing that you're struggling, and it can be embarrassing. So what I think I'd like to do is, instead of just having seniors, we can also implement some teachers. Although I know there is a tight schedule, we can give them more options, and we can help promote by making as from the by making an introduction for them, uploading of videos online, so they can be less shy or to speak up. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate 1, for trying your best to answer the questions from academic. Now let's move on to candidate 2. We still have 2 numbers left. Number 4 and number 6.
4.
Number 4. Great. These questions come from Mr. Steven from the leadership coordinator. The questions is, how will you encourage a culture of honesty and responsibility among students without being a judgmental or punitive? 1 minute is yours.
Currently, our school punishes bad behavior, but I think that we should also reward good behavior. Why are we only noticed when we do bad and not also when we do good? I feel that if students show honesty, then we should give them rewards. But it also depends on the situation. For example, if the honesty is, oh, I cheated on this test, then yes, they should be punished because they should know their consequences. But we should also show them that it's okay. Own up to your mistake, face your consequences, and after that, everything will be okay. The same goes for if they are honest. For example, the teacher accidentally marked their score higher than they actually need. They could say, "Oh, mister, you scored my score too high," and then the teacher could give them an SLS point to show them that they did the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, next. Candidate 3 to respond to candidate 2 answers. 1 minute. Start from now.
You talk about giving rewards, and I think that's an excellent way to balance out the good what the students did good and when the students did bad. However, these days I feel like especially in the end of the school year, people don't really care as much about gaining points as they do in the beginning. So what other rewards can you offer as an alternative instead of these points? Because again, students might lose interest in these points as the academic year progresses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidate 1. Now 1 minute for candidate. Sorry, candidate 3. Thank you for the response. Candidate 1, please respond.
I agree with candidate 3. I noticed that not a lot of people care about the SLA's points or the rewards. Once they get, for example, once they get a house shirt, they are done trying for points and they are just being there and not participating. How would you really encourage other rewards? I agree. And also for the misbehaviors, for the honesty that are really major, such as the oh I cheated. No, sorry. Such as bullying something, stealing something. You have mentioned. How would you? What rewards can you give? Even though you just talk talk it out of them, I think they won't really be motivated to always be honest because there would always be a better thing to lie because they think there's no punishment. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, candidate 1. All right, candidate 2. We give you 2 minutes to conclude your answer.
So for candidate 3, you mentioned that people lose interest in points by the end of the school year. And as a student myself, yes, I agree. Sometimes points do not matter that much at the end once I've gathered all of my points. However, I believe that points are not just the full picture. Integrity and honesty and being a leader to show up for yourself is also part of the picture. And I believe that the satisfaction of knowing that you owned up to what you did is enough for them to be motivated. For the second speaker, for the first candidate, you also mentioned that a lot of people choose to lie because it's the easier way. And yes, I agree. Doing bad things is often the easier way. However, let's create a school environment where we remind them that being honest is truly the best version of yourself. And to own up to your mistakes is okay. Let's also remind them that everyone has made mistakes so that they can actually feel safe enough to actually approach and admit to their mistake. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Alika, for trying your best to answer the questions. Now let's go. This is the final questions. The for candidate 3. There's no other choice. The other options is question number 6 that come from our the only one, President SLT 2024-2025. Please welcome Diva.
Okay, so with our newly established facilities such as the basketball court as well as the MPH, I'm more than optimistic that either one of you could run the Regents Cup event. However, I'd like to draw more attention towards your day-to-day responsibilities as a president. Now, this year as action team members, the three of you have had the opportunity to lend a helping hand in our established long-term programs, such as the official production or documentation team, the Excel Club, as well as the empowerment of student-led clubs. If you were chosen as lower president, what long-term programs do you plan on initiating? And how do you plan on sustaining it in the long run, keeping your promises to the school? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Diva. Candidate 3, Kalisa, you have 1 minute to deliver your answer.
So the main program that I want to implement is having forums and polls as an open discussion for students so that they can also have a say in what they want to see in events and facilities and school rules, etc. And I think this is one of the more simpler programs that I can implement, as it is just creating a form and pasting QR codes. Now I understand that the concern is that not everyone will fill it out, but then again, as a leader, you need to know when you take initiative. I'm giving you the opportunity to share your voice, and it's up to you to take action towards that. If you want your voice to be heard, then speak up. And then I also would like to implement new school teams for the for Regents, because I believe that there are lots of people with potential to represent the school with the teams, and I plan on doing this, prioritizing this in the beginning of the year, so that they have time to prepare for upcoming tournaments. And for
Time's up. You can continue later, but it's okay. All right, now I'll give response to candidate 1. 1 minute to respond. Candidate 3 answers.
I agree with the suggestion box that you are willing to make, and it is up to them to share their voice. And for the new school teams being implemented, I agree with that. But can you elaborate more on what school teams you are planning and how you would encourage more people to join these teams? Thank you.
Thank you, candidate 1. Now, candidate 2.
So I agree with candidate number 1, and I would also like to add up on that. So Diva mentioned long-term programs, and how will you ensure that the programs that you introduce will stay consistent and last throughout? For example, mental health ambassadors, that was a program that we've had for quite some time. However, it recently ended, and how will you make sure that things like SLT and production house will keep on going? Thank you.
Thank you, candidate 2. Now, now let's wrap up the answer. Candidate 3, are you ready? Okay, 2 minutes to conclude your answer.
So, candidate 1, you asked about what school teams I'm going to implement, and so far I've only planned for 2, because I think that we should take smaller steps instead of just going big without knowing without any like concrete doable plan to satisfy everyone. So for now, I plan on badminton and esports team. And how I'm going to do this is, firstly, I need to find a coach, obviously, contact local clubs or ask around. Maybe teachers have connections with other coaches. Plan the facilities and equipments needed, schedule practice time so it doesn't clash with all the other team practices, and then finally recruit the teams in the beginning of the academic year as normal through tryouts that they can do. And then by the first month of term 1, the team will be formed. And for candidate 2, you asked how I'm going to make sure programs will last throughout. And I think the main problem with the mental health ambassador team, the reason why it didn't really last throughout, is because they were only given one goal, and it was to prepare for the mental health week. I think to make these programs last, I'm going to give them goals for each term, short-term goals that they can complete each term, and one big goal that they have to complete by the end of the term. That way, the programs can still continue on until the end of the academic year, and they have something to do with their team. Thank you.
All right. That's the end of our session 2 from the panelist questions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, candidates 1 and candidate 3. Let's give a round of applause to all the candidates. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all the supporters. Wow. Okay, can we give one more time? I'm gonna hear a supporter's voice from candidate 1. Woo. All right. Thank you. Wow. What about candidate 2? Yay. Look at the spirit. Oh, let's give a round of what about candidate 3? Oh, thank you for all the supporters. Thank you so much for giving your spirit to these 3 candidates. Now let's move on to the last sessions of this debate. It's a live audience question and live audience question and answer. So let's hear from you. Our student audience will take one live audience questions. If you have a questions to our candidates, because they will have only 1 minute to answer to one questions. Okay, we have one for our supporter there. Please introduce yourself. Introduce yourself and your class and mention your question.
Hello, my name is Jenny and I'm from class 8D. And this is a question that I've had to all three of these candidates. So, in this year, we implemented the program where there is two presidents, lower and upper. How will you work hand in hand since there's not only one president, so you guys will have to make decisions that affect the school together? How will you guys make this an effective communication and how you will guys implement this to school? That's it.
All right, thank you, Jenny. Such an insightful questions. I'll start from candidate one to respond the questions. 1 minute. Start from now.
So as you know, yes, we have separated the upper and lower. They both have presidents, and communication is still really important as this is we are moving as one whole school, one whole community, and not two. So I think we can have regular meetings, group chats that involve discussions together. And I know with the schedules being different, it will be hard to have meetings. So instead, maybe we can have discussions in the group chats more often, or we can still prioritize having school meetings too. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate one. Now let's continue with candidate two.
So, as a president, I believe that communication is key, and I'm sure that whoever the other president will be, that we'll able to build a strong connection where we can share ideas openly and easily. So, like like candidate one said, due to schedules, having regular meetings might be hard. But what we can do when we don't have meetings is has weekly or monthly recaps. We could discuss what went well, what went wrong, so that we can keep on improving consistently throughout the school year and not just during events. Thank you.
Okay, last from candidate three.
So communication plays a very crucial role in the around my presidency, which centers around the 1 + 1 = 3 principle. And I agree with the previous candidates' answers that I will try to communicate with them very often. But again, because of scheduling, we can do instead of in person, we can do online meetings whenever we're busy through Zoom, which makes it easier for us to like say all together like what we think. Group chats can also work, but also ultimately, I do want to do what the SLT is doing right now, like having regular meetings where we all gather together, discuss about what went well, what went wrong, what we can improve on, and our plans. So that way, the entire SLT group, no matter if you're lower or upper, we can join together as one to create something bigger than just us in the school community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. You try your best to answer all the questions. Everyone, we've reached the final part for today's debate. Each candidate will now deliver their closing statement, summarizing why they believe they are the right person to lead the lower SLT 2025-2026. Are you guys ready? I'll start from candidate one. 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here just to make promises to you, but to take action into it, your ideas into action, and commit to creating a better school for everyone. Before I was a candidate, before I was here, I was a student just like you guys and still am. I was someone who was shy, someone who felt invisible in some days. Now, knowing within these walls, I've seen so much potential, knowing that leadership isn't just about leading people to the right path, but to also bring out the best in you. You need someone as your president to know how you truly feel in order to make a big impact to a change. I will be your bridge, connecting your voices to real change. And together we can achieve a community where students feel heard, valued, and empowered. And of course, before I leave, I would like to thank all of you, panelists, Diva, worthy candidates, and everyone watching. That is all from me. Thank you.
Yeah. That's Bell from candidate number 1. Let's continue with candidate number 2. 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like, before I end off my debate, I would like to introduce one more program, University Prep. So as I surveyed the alumni, they all mentioned that they only had University Prep at the very end of grade 12, which sort of forced them to planning their future. I would like to start as early as middle school and build up the intensity step by step so that we can build our future step by step and not just at the end. Now, for my closing statement, I would like to say that as a president, I won't be perfect, and together we won't be perfect, but we will be amazing. We can do great things together if we cooperate, and with your ideas and mine combined, we can do anything we set our mind to. I would like to thank everyone, my supporters, Bell supporters, Calista supporters, teachers, adjudicators, fellow candidates for this amazing opportunity, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.
All right, that's Alika, candidate number 2. Now let's count the final candidate 3. 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, as your president, I can guarantee you right here, right off the bat, that I won't be perfect. I'll make decisions that maybe not every single one of you can agree with. I'll make mistakes, but I promise that I will own up to these mistakes and learn from them. I promise to give my full 100% efforts into making all my promises come true, to ensure that all of you guys can look back at that academic year with great memories, especially to those who are planning on leaving Regents soon. But to do that, I need your trust. So vote for me for a new story with meaning much more than the result of 1 plus 1. Vote for me for a story that you and I can write together hand in hand. Vote for me for a story where your voice is heard. Vote for me for a story where your visions are achieved. Vote for me for a story that will end in our victory. Thank you.
Wow! Such an amazing closing statement from our 3 candidates today. Thank you to our candidates for your courage and your clarity today, and also for our panelists. Thank you very much for your time, and also for our audience here in Chill Out or also in Zoom. Thank you so much for being a part for our from of this meaningful process. Before we dismiss, here are the voting day process. So voting will take place on May 23, this Friday, start at 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the canteen. Each student may cast 1 vote only. And the results will be announced on Monday, May 26, 2025. Remember, your vote helps shape the future of our community. So vote wisely. That concludes the lower SLT president debate for today. Have a great day. I'm Mr. Ben signing out. Yay! Okay, quiet, quiet, quiet. Thank you. You can keep the spirit. We are done already. So now it's time. Wait, 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 wait.